Welcome everyone to this hybrid meeting of the Angus Council Licensing Board. I would remind all attendees that this meeting is being recorded and webcast live on the Council's YouTube channel. I would remind all remote attendees to mute their microphones when not speaking, unless they wish to speak, and then they should do so by raising their hands remotely. Can I also remind remote members attending hybrid meetings where quasi-judicial matters are being considered, they will not be permitted to participate by audio only and must have their video and camera functions switched on at all times. Thank you. Before we begin the board meeting proper, I would like to take the opportunity to say a few words about the late Janet Hood. Members and others will recall Janet, who was a local legal professional who represented many clients at this board. While looking to prepare some words on behalf of the board, I received a notice from Councillor Ross Gregg. Now, Ross had actually put some words together and sent them to me. I'll be here asking if I would actually read those words out. Upon reading them, it was quite clear that what Ross was saying was exactly what I would say. And I thought, why have two different presentations when Ross's presentation covers, I think, everything I would have said anyway. So these are the words of Ross Gregg, but I think they represent all of our feelings. So, Janet Hood. Along with other members of the board, I was incredibly saddened to learn of the sudden passing of Janet Hood. Only a few days prior, she had attended a meeting of the board in her usual upbeat, happy and professional self. Her presence at our meetings was always very much welcome, and it was a pleasure to have her there. Her absolute respect for the board, her resolute duty to her clients, not to mention her considerable experience and knowledge, really was testament to her as a professional and as a person. Her absence will be felt enormously, not only from our board, but her profession and most importantly, by those that knew her best. Her family and friends, and to those I offer my sincerest condolences. Whilst she referred to us all as your honours, I can say hand on heart, it was my honour to have Janet with us. I would now like to pass to Councillor Fotheringham, who was the previous convener, to say a couple of words.
Thank you very much, Convener, and I'm going to stand in Janet's honour like we used to do at the board meetings previously. It was an absolute privilege to have Janet and a friend, and I actually spoke to Janet several hours before she died. When she was here on the Thursday, I know she had health issues. She was getting treatment for health issues, and she said to me, "Craig, I will phone you." And she did. She phoned me on the Wednesday evening and very suddenly, sadly, passed away. It was an absolute privilege to have her, not only as a colleague, but as a friend, and she will be sorely missed. Thank you, Convener.
Thank you, Councillor Fotheringham. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Convener, and good morning, colleagues. I come at this a slightly different angle because I knew Janet when I was a councillor and on licensing in Aberdeenshire Council, and we met in the Stonehaven courthouse. So it was, you could imagine what that was like. And she always referred to us as your honours. I used to smile at it, but she was just the same there, you know, nothing changed to here. But on a personal note, my husband and I, as volunteers, started up a farmers market in Bankery. And Janet was there for me from day one, guiding us through, and we did it as volunteers for 10 years. She helped us immensely. So when I saw her in action with her clients, it was no surprise to me that Janet was going to put them first and foremost, as she did, and she challenged in her absolute beautiful way, with great aplomb, great fun, but a total professional, and she's going to be sorely missed. So rest in peace, friend.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Councillor Braze.
Yeah, I just have a few words to add when it comes to Mrs. Hood. Grace, charm, eloquence, elegance, flamboyance, colour, but always, always professionalism. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Braze. Okay, well, thank you all. We will now move on to the business of the board. We'll start with apologies for absence.
Yes, Convener, we've got apologies from Councillor Gregg and Councillor Gavin Nicholl, and we've got Councillor Durno joining us remotely this morning. The rest of the members are in the chambers.
Thank you. We move to item 2, declarations of interest and statements of transparency. Do we have any? None? Okay, we'll move on to item 3, application for occasional licence, Moriarty's, Lachlan Street, Arbroath. This is report number LB 25-24 and pages 3 to 9 of your papers.
Convener, I'll just maybe check there's no... There'll just be 2.
Okay, we're just going to check if there's anyone else come in the building. Okay, there are some people coming up, but they will just join us when they get here. So this is an application for occasional licences for Moriarty's, Lachlan Street, Arbroath. I think originally they were 10, but I think we're down to 9 for today. And I think we can start with Mr. Finlay. Do we have Mr. Finlay? Mr. Finlay, this is your opportunity to talk to the board about your application. Yeah. Okay.
Good morning, Convener, members, and thank you for your time today. I'm going to read from a set of notes. I hope you don't mind. I wasn't expecting to be here. My name's Kevin Finlay, and I'm on the committee that represents a small group of business owners that have taken over the formerly Buicks in Arbroath, and we've been renovating the property and hope to open as Moriarty's. The applications that are in for a series of occasional licences are to cover the period until we can apply and hopefully obtain a premises licence. We actually weren't sure at what part of the process we were at in terms of this, because the sad circumstances of Janet passing away. So she made these applications for us in the beginning, and we are looking to put in for a full premises licence going forward. We've had some problems in terms of we don't know where we're at. A lot of the information's on our laptop and haven't been able to get access to where we are, but in talking to licensing, hopefully we'll get things sorted out. As a bit of background, we are a small consortium of 18 different small business owners from the Angus area. all covering different backgrounds. We've formed a cooperative interest to invest in the bar. We have paramedic, we have serving Royal Marine, we have retired Royal Marine, we have ex-parachute regiment. I myself have a couple of tattoo studios in Angus and Dundee, an SIA licensed close protection operator. It's a fair mix of characters we have. The bar itself has been in operations under many different names and ownerships for several decades, including a Masonic Lodge, British Legion, as well as private landlords. From the people we have in our group, 3 of which have operated licensed premises in the past, myself included. I ran what was called the Workhouse, the Old Reed Park Bar, up till COVID. Sadly, COVID ended that. But we have 2 other members that have had bars in Perth and down south. We recently took over the property at Buick's. If you had seen what the property looked like when we took it over, you'd be shocked and surprised. I think it was in the newspapers. It was found as a cannabis grow, so the building was an absolute mess. So far, we have completely ripped everything out. We've spent over £10,000 on renovations. Because of the humidity in the building, the floor was all completely rotten. We stripped it all back down to I believe it's the old cobbled street that was Green Street in Arbroath many years ago, and I've brought it back to life. We've had visits from Angus Council Environmental Health, and we have passed all inspections from their perspective. Our sort of vision for the place as well. We basically want to have a community leaning social hub. In Angus itself, there's 6 motorcycle groups across a broad spectrum. If you extend that to Tayside, there's an additional 5 in Dundee. Since COVID, myself and Henry that's with me, I've been to approximately 12 funerals of bikers, 50% of which I probably didn't even know. But as you know, it's quite a strong collective, and at the minute, as morbid as it may sound, if a biker passes away in Arbroath, there's 2 places to have the wake, both of which are very generic function suites. We want to have a place where people can come in. They're surrounded by Harley Davidson memorabilia, old British bike memorabilia. That's what we're after. I have to make apologies for the applicant, Malcolm Taylor, that's on the forum. Malcolm is actually overseas at a funeral today. That's why it's myself that's here and not Malcolm. We recognise the effective and responsible management of the premises, which includes the training and supervision of staff. We're looking to have 4 personal licence holders, and obviously all mandatory training of all staff. We will be running policies on proof of age requirements, so Challenge 25 will be in operation. There will be CCTV provision and external lighting. That's already up and at the building. If we are using, we're going to risk manage it, so if we have say for example, we have a live band on, we will be using SIA licensed door supervisors. We're looking to gain membership of any local pub or shop watch schemes, and are looking to be involved in responsible business award schemes. It's in our intention to become members. Training staff and managing patrons who are already intoxicated. Measures applicants may take to reduce violence through environmental measures such as cleanliness, quality of fittings, choice and volume of music, cleanliness of toilet facilities and ventilation. And we will run a refusals book where staff can record all episodes where they've refused to serve someone. Turning to the objections that we've received. Now, again, this is a set of notes that I've been passed from the lady that's taken over from Janet. But the majority of the objections are based on the operation of the bar by previous licence holders. So if I may work through them. Objection 1 states that we've been obscenely loud as a group of bikers when leaving the premises after visiting. The only time any of us have been at the premises have been to carry out work on the premises, and we feel that calling us bikers is a slightly derogatory term and conjures up a vision of hard drinking, hard partying group, and not the group of professional business and family people that we actually are. Furthermore, we're very aware that the bar is set in a residential area, and we've agreed among us that when we do arrive on motorcycles, that the bikes are wheeled out to the main road before we start them as a consideration to the neighbours. The residential area is also set within 2 main roads, and it's not necessarily that our bikes that the residents are hearing. As responsible licence holders, it's in our best interest not to be breaching any licensing conditions, and we will be ensuring that the bar will be operated as peacefully as possible. However, members should be reminded that although this is a residential area, the bar has also been in this area for a great amount of years. Objection 2 is based on the operation of the bar in the past. We feel that this can't be specifically applied to a premises that is not open or operating yet. Objection 3 is based on the operation of the premises possibly increasing public nuisance, crime, disorder and public nuisance. Again, this cannot be based in fact or even be considered as a specific objection against our application, as the premises has not been operating as of yet. As discussed before, the premises has been a licensed premises for decades. There's no over-provision policy in place in this area, and the fact that granting of occasional licence will ensure, as licence holders, we will have the mandatory conditions to adhere to. Failure to do so will impact our application for a premises licence, and this is not in our best interests moving forward, given the huge financial commitment that we've put into the project. Objection 4. As the objector has had the opportunity to object to the applications, it's evident that there has been a consultation period. Again, there's no over-provision policy for the area. The previous operation for the premises has no bearing on how we will operate in the future. Best practice states that any applicant offering music, either live or recorded, will be required to detail their proposals to limit noise emissions from the premises, and that's what the action we will take. The proposal should include measures aimed at controlling noise from amplified and non-amplified music, singing and speech, so to be inaudible with any adjacent noise-sensitive property, particularly between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. Such measures can include keeping doors and windows closed and the installation of soundproofing measures and sound limiters that we are 100% on board with. We have had to rip out an awful lot of the inside of the function suite and bar area, so when we have replaced plasterboard and insulation, we have put rock wool sound insulation back in, obviously a greater financial impact to ourselves. Objection 5, again, this objection is based on the operation of the premises by the previous licence holders and not specifically objecting to the operation of current applications, as they cannot be applied to these current applications. Since the premises is still being renovated and it's not in operation as of yet, how can this be looked at? And lastly, objection 6. There will be no smoking or customers lingering at the front of the premises. We're lucky that we've got a large beer garden area to the rear of the bar, so we will be directing everybody out to the small garden if they do wish to have a cigarette. No one will be allowed to leave the premises with drinks or bottles or glasses at any time, and fights and arguments that were incidents that happened in prior ownership and the noise of the motorbikes, I think we've addressed in objection 1. So to summarise, we can appreciate why the neighbours are concerned, considering the way that previous licence holders and tenants have operated the bar. However, as discussed, we're a group of successful professional family people who have made significant investment into turning this property around, which is a big commitment in the current climate where businesses are closing on a daily basis. Between us, we have over 10 years' experience in running licensed premises, and we're committed to ensuring that the bar causes the least impact on the residential area surrounding us, and we hope that in time it enhances the community, bringing people together in this social hub. Therefore, Convener, subject to any questions, we respectfully request that you move to grant the applications.
Thank you. you have any more to say? I mean, I see you have a statement in there. We have a statement from the Licensed Standards Officer, which is a sentence, but I don't know if you want to say any more on that.
Thank you, Convener. No, I've got nothing further to say. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move then to questions. Councillor Whiteside.
Thanks, Convener, and thanks very much for your presentation. It was actually very eloquent and informative and answered most of the questions that I already had. So thanks for that. I suppose many of the points that you made were absolutely valid. And I suppose the only question that remains is, do you have any further plans to engage constructively with the neighbours who are a bit worried about the prospect?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We've had conversations with quite a few of the neighbours. They've all been very positive. Most of them have actually been asking, you know, can we come in when you're open? So it has been really positive.
Councillor Braze.
Thanks, Convener, and thanks for your presentation. Very informative. And, you know, we're here to consider the application that's in front of us, which is for occasional licences, and that's what we'll do. But I'm just wondering, have you, given what you've said about the future as you see it for Moriarty's and its purpose and its function, I'm wondering, is there a specific reason why you're wanting occasional licences rather than just going for, you know, a full licence?
I was purely solely going on Janet's advice. I've dealt with Janet Hood with my tattoo studios. One of the other members is in the same position. He has a couple of tattoo studios, and Janet's helped over the years. So when we first had the idea, we got in touch with Janet before we'd even looked at the place and asked her advice. So she, on her initial visit, she came out and spoke to us and basically said, look, what we're going to do is we're going to apply for these occasional licences because the process of applying for a premises licence can take X amount of time. Because of the financial implications for us, she was keen to try and get us open as soon as possible. And I believe that's why she's done so. So we're purely going on Janet's advice.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. And I suppose if it was good enough for Janet, it's certainly good enough for me. And thanks for answering regarding what the advice from Janet was. But I have to say, you didn't deliver it with anything like the eloquence. You did your best. Thank you very much.
Yeah, members will be aware that the normal process for this would have actually just been delegated, but it's actually come to us on this occasion. Are there any other questions from members? Okay, what I'll do then is I'll move to the recommendations, but before we decide on the recommendations, I'll actually go through the legal implications, if that's okay. No, I'll go through the legal implications. Sorry. Oh, sorry, Councillor Durno. Sorry I missed you there.
Thanks, Convener. I'd really just have a comment on when we get to comments. On a comment on the recommendations, but I don't know if you want to say your piece, and then I'll come in with a recommendation.
Okay, I'll go through the legal implications, if that's okay, first. So if we look at 3.1, the board must consider whether any of the grounds for refusal specified in section 59, bracket 6 of the Licensing Board Scotland Act 2005 applies. And if none of them apply, the board must grant the application. If any of them applies, the board must refuse the application. And then we have to look at the grounds for refusal. The grounds for refusal are A, that the premises to which the application relates are excluded premises. B, that the application must be refused under section 56, bracket 6A, if the granting of an occasional licence application would result in the occasional licence limit being over-exceeded. 64 brackets 2, if the granting of the occasional licence application would allow alcohol to be sold in premises for a continuous period of 24 hours or more. or 65(3) if the granting of the occasional licence application is such that the hours proposed in the application would permit alcohol to be sold for consumption off the premises before 10 a.m. or after 10 p.m. or both. C, that the licensing board considers the granting of the application would be inconsistent with one or more of the licensing objectives. D, that having regard to the nature of the activities proposed to be carried out in the premises to which the application relates. 2, the relation, character and condition of the premises, and 3, the persons likely to frequent the premises. So there we are. If we move now then to the recommendations are 1, that we grant the application subject to the mandatory conditions and any other discretionary or local conditions which the board may wish to impose, or 2, to refuse the application on one or more of the grounds referred to in paragraph 3.2, which I've just gone through. Can we... Oh, sorry, I nearly forgot you again, Councillor. I'm very sorry.
I would just like to say that I would like to grant the application subject to the mandatory conditions, and the local condition which the board may wish to impose is that the times of sale of alcohol are from 11 to midnight only, and no weekend extension to 1 a.m. But this may be reviewed in 3 months, obviously, because there's so many occasional licenses, but this may be reviewed in 3 months to see how the new premises are working in the area. That's my proposal. Thank you.
Do you have a seconder?
I don't know.
To come in.
Sorry, Councillor Dorno, the occasional licences only last for 14 days at a time.
Okay.
So a 3-month, this isn't a longer licence than that. So I don't know how that would be. I don't know that that would be a competent condition, given that they're only granted for 14-day periods at a time. But the first part of what you said was that there should be a restriction on the sale of alcohol to 11 to midnight only, and that was each day, was it?
Yes. No extensions to the weekend, just to see how it works out.
And can you give some reasons for why you consider that to be a condition that's necessary?
Because of the neighbours and the fact that it's in a residential area, I would like to see how it works with just being to midnight without having an extension to 1 a.m. for the residents to be able to see what the noise levels are once they get started with their bands, etc. Just as a condition, for the residents, really.
And Convener, I don't know whether you can ask the applicant what his thoughts are on that.
What would be your thoughts beyond that?
To be honest, sorry, we don't want to be upsetting anyone. So, in terms of the occasionals, we're very happy to try it as a trial, and if the noise levels are such that needs to be the case, and it is until 12 o'clock, then that would be absolutely fine.
Apologies, just if I could come in. So, therefore, and Fiona, don't let me take over, but you'll have the application in full. Would you like that to be considered in full, or are you making an amendment to your application today based upon what you've heard? Because
yeah, I think if it's run as if we change it from today for these occasionals, for the purpose of the occasionals, that I would like it sort of to bear in mind when we do apply for the premises licence that might not be the case.
Okay, so members. Oh, apologies, members. I think the application has now been amended by the applicant to midnight only each day. So just for clarity, thank you.
Councillor Brace?
Yes, thanks, Convener. Well, that was the question I was originally going to ask, was how does this affect the applicant? So he's amended his application, so it's to close at midnight, as Councillor Durno required, and I'm happy to support Councillor Darno and second her motion, I suppose. And I would say we take great cognizance, or I do at least, of all the objections. They are from really concerning the way the premises has been run in the past and not the way that the applicant is telling us today that it will be in the future. So happy to proceed on that basis. And of course, these are occasional licences, and if there's going to be big issues with behaviour, etc., you know, we'll have the chance, if and when you come to us again, as to whether we grant or not. So good luck with your venture anyway.
Councillor Clark.
Thank you, convener and colleagues, and thank you very much. It sounds really good, and I want to wish you all the very best. And I've taken cognizance that what you've agreed to, and we've had a legal person there helping us as well. So I'm perfectly content. I think you'll do very well. Definitely considering what people say, because you must do that. But I think you'll be a good neighbour, and I've got faith. So go with that.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Are there any other comments? No. So with that, we then have a proposer and a seconder. The application has been amended. Are there any dissents or amendments? So we have a unanimous decision that, that it will be awarded under the changed application. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Sorry, and that concludes the board for this morning.
John, could you stop the live stream?